When I think of domestic violence, I think of bruises and broken limbs and broken glass, holes in walls. It's something I'm very familiar with because that's how I grew up. Some of my earliest memories as a child growing up were of my parents fighting. It was an explosive mix of cursing and hitting and throwing things and yelling in front of us. And that was my normal. So when I met my husband, I really thought I would never have a life filled with abuse. He is soft-spoken. He's humble, or at least he appeared to be. And he just didn't really have an explosive way to him. In fact, he was pretty low energy, low affect. And now looking back, it probably is because there's something else going on there. Lack of the ability to emote and to feel anything other than shallow emotions. But he was the antithesis of what I thought an abuser would be. And I feel really uncomfortable calling him an abuser because there are other things that he is. He's many things, and I don't want to diminish who he is as a person. Just like I don't want to just consider myself a victim. I'm so much more. I am a friend, a daughter, an aunt, a leader, a motivator. Like I like to help people, and I feel I have a pretty good ability to empathize with people, and so I don't want to demonize. And I know it sounds kind of crazy. I use that word way too much, but my husband's so much more than an abuser, but he is and has been abusive to me. And I have called it that. And I have told him why I felt that way and given examples. And it's really something that most recently he's been coming to terms with, that idea that he has been abusive and what that abuse looks like. And it's really, that means a lot to me, because for over a year, when I would say, you're being abusive, or you're not, this isn't normal behavior. You're not treating me kindly. You're not, it's okay to want to be alone. It's okay to want to be in other relationships. It's okay to not feel the same way towards me, but it's really not okay to treat me like I'm not a human, or like I'm not someone who deserves care or respect or compassion. And there were just, so many times in this last year that I've just been blown away by the dehumanization of me by the person I love the most in the world, besides myself, of course. But I always felt like I had self-love and I was independent. But when I love deeply. And I just thought he was a really beautiful, kind soul. And I fell in love with that person. I fell in love with him, and the moodiness was part of the package. And, it wasn't something I was excited about, but he definitely outperformed every other past relationship until recently, where he took the cake for the most abusive. But I just never thought that this was what abuse looked like. And it's really hard to articulate, because if you don't experience it, it may be easy for someone to disregard or to discount emotional, psychological, and financial abuse. Those are higher level types of abuse that don't leave marks, because if you did, you could lose your job, you could lose your prestigious position in the world, your board seat. And I'm learning that the most insidious and covert abusers are those who don't leave a mark, and know how to perform in public. And it's incredibly frustrating to not be able to call it out, because I know, at least in my case, no one would believe me. And I don't want to be that woman that gets ostracized because it's perceived that she's scorned, and so she's going to call out abuse, and people will take sides or feel they need to take sides. And I've already experienced that to some extent. I've seen it. I've seen people in our lives make a choice and choose to not stand up for me, because knowing him and being around him is more valuable. He's shinier. He's more connected. He's impressive. And so, for many of the people, I guess, he surrounded himself with, which may have similar character traits, there's shallowness. There's a lack of depth and character. And I don't want to be that way. I'm glad I have the character that I have and the moral compass that I have, but that's a lonely path, and it's been for a long time in my life, because I am someone that fights back, and I stand up and I speak up when something doesn't seem right, and I call out that behavior. And oftentimes people around me that are seeing the same stuff don't want to do that. They don't want to jeopardize their position, their predicament, their likability. They are more concerned with self-preservation than they are for others. And that's never been me. I've kind of been that way since I was in elementary school, standing up for the kid that's being bullied, or sitting next to the kid that's not sitting next to someone. And so that's always been a part of my character, just imagining that if I were that kid or that person that was experiencing that horrible thing, that I would want someone to do what I was doing. I'm doing it because that's what I would want someone to do for me if that were me. And so that's my lens in life. And many people don't have that lens, and I've learned that over this experience, that people can feel badly and think that what you've gone through is bad and sad and horrible, but sometimes they're just not willing to do anything more than keep that to themselves, and then think about self-preservation and what's best for them and their situation. And quite honestly, you can't really take offense to it. You just have to understand it, and that's the annoying part about me, I guess, and that I find very annoying and frustrating, is that even in those disappointing situations, I understand and I get it. It doesn't make it any easier, doesn't make me feel less lonely, but it would be really nice if someone called him out on his behavior in a meaningful way, because I won't do it. It'll backfire, and I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't want to shame him for the way he has treated me. It's not fair. It's not right, but I don't want to shame him. I don't want to destroy him and his character, and although it feels like he doesn't really feel the same way about my psyche and where I am. I feel he cares about me and doesn't want to hurt me, but I think if it came down to it, he would, if it meant preserving his facade. So my goal is not to take him down and get revenge. I just want people to know what I'm going through and how it feels from my perspective to go through something like this, to be suffering from PTSD, to suffer in silence, working with your abuser, and also putting on a facade that helps his narrative and not my own. That's tough, because I'm reinforcing the false narrative. But I honestly don't know what else to do at this point. I don't feel like I have many choices. And I know everyone has choices, but I don't feel like I have much of a choice at this juncture. I've already lost a lot. I've stopped counting my losses. I'm trying to see the positive in this situation. I'm trying to see if there's something to gain from this pain. And I'm making the best of a pretty horrendous situation. And that's all I think I can do. Positive mindset and faith and trust that it's going to work out. So, a little bit of a ramble tonight, but thank you for letting me share. I hope everyone's having a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.